Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy, NerdMode, and I'll be covering some Battlefield news today, talking a little bit about Battlefield Hardline, as well as a message sent out to the Battlefield fans reassuring them of some information, as well as some fixes coming soon. So, of course, let's start off with the most topical thing when it comes down to it, the new Battlefield title. So, of course, talking a little bit about Battlefield Hardline, this is going to be a cops and robbers themed Battlefield game, and it's going to definitely have a multitude of different things that the Battlefield fans have come to enjoy. Now, of course, it's going to be straying a little bit away from the military combat that many of us have come to love and enjoy, but at the same expense, it's going to be introducing some new themes and some different dynamics that we're not commonly accustomed to. Now, of course, Battlefield Hardline is going to be developed and released by a team known as Visceral. Now, this is a team that I'm not too familiar with, but it looks like from the past experience that they've had some very good success with storylines, as well as really bringing forward some pretty good content. So, definitely that's a lot of good hope when it comes to the Battlefield franchise, but in no way does that mean DICE is stepping down from their superior position. DICE is always going to be known as the team that developed Battlefield, as well as they're going to be the ones making the military-based Battlefield titles instead of the independent ones that are a little bit different, kind of like this particular case with Cops and Robbers. Now, of course, this particular Battlefield title is expected to release sometime this year. It'll be more towards the end of the year, so if you guys are trying to save up some money for it, definitely you have quite a bit of time until the next Battlefield releases, but that is going to be made by the Visceral team, of course, and then I'm sure the year after that, with the 2-year development cycle that Battlefield's known for, I'm sure the next installation will commence, especially when it comes down to the large-scale military combat that many of us have come to love and enjoy when it comes to the Battlefield franchise. But of course, some of you guys might have seen the trailer that's going to be showcased most likely at E3, and that definitely should be coming here very soon, so definitely if you want to get more sneak peeks, you guys can definitely look around, but E3 is going to be presenting it, I imagine, or at least giving us a showcasing of the next title for the Battlefield franchise. Now, of course, many of you guys are probably on the tips of your seats waiting for a lot of information, and there is some pretty decent information, but until this time, it's not really worth covering everything that's been leaked, quote-unquote, considering that there really isn't a whole lot to discuss, and some of the gadgets could have changed or been altered, and it's more impressive to bring you guys more accurate information instead of speculation and drawings that were just happened to found in battle logs. So, of course, I'll keep you guys up to date when it comes to the title, but I imagine here, when E3 hits, we should be getting a wide variety of content as well as some trailers and some showcasings of how the game is going to be functioning. Now, of course, with all that talked about, I would like to let you guys know that Battlefield, or DICE, sent out a message to all the fans on Battlelog, letting you guys kind of know of some of the concerns that they've been receiving, as well as the hype for the next Battlefield titles. So, of course, there is quite a bit to go over here, but I wanted to let you guys know that there is a little bit of information that looks reassuring, as well as some content that I feel like you guys are going to be striving for and looking forward to when it comes down to the near future. So, of course, DICE really started off with letting you guys know that they're very excited for the next Battlefield title, and they've been working with this team known as Visceral for quite some time, and this is a team that's been really in development for quite some time when it comes down to, I imagine, EA picking them up and really introducing them to the new content that is before their eyes, or a franchise that's already pre-exposed to the community. And this is something that's been built up by hype for many years. The Battlefield franchise is not something very new, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have dumped in many hours into this title by itself, and I'm sure you guys would really like it to stay the same as it's always been. But of course, this is another team that's going to be deciding to really stray away from the overall theme that many of us are accustomed to and try to really open the gates up to success, as well as trying to really become an individual studio that isn't grounded by just military combat. So that's definitely very exciting by itself. It's interesting to see how this is going to work out. I know a lot of people have compared this game to games like Payday and just kind of made some cracking jokes here and there, but by and large, it looks pretty successful so far from the information released, and hopefully it will come to light and really amuse us, but at the moment, it's kind of hard to say. And of course, as DICE proceeds through their article, they talk a little bit about the concerns that they've been receiving, and they want you guys to be reassured that DICE will continue to support Battlefield 4. There are multiple teams all across the world that are going to be continually updating the game and working to improve the overall game, considering that DICE produced Battlefield 4. DICE doesn't have a ton of involvement with Visceral Studios in this particular case, and Visceral is going to be taking control of the next Battlefield title while DICE is going to be continuing to work on their baby known as Battlefield 4. Many consumers of Battlefield 4 have really voiced out their concerns over the last couple of months, and DICE has been collecting this feedback to improve the overall title. I'm sure many of you guys have noticed since the initial launch of Battlefield 4 up until the period we are now, there has been a lot of improvements. Now, of course, these are improvements that needed to be occurring on day one, and then fortunately they were not able to get that done, but I think we can all kind of agree that Battlefield 4 is a lot better than it was when it first came out. I think it's kind of hard to deny that. Now, of course, is it the best game ever made? Of course not. Everybody has their opinions. Some are more extreme, and some of us are more casual when it comes down to the ideology of how the game has been playing. But I'm still enjoying it. I find it to be a very fun title. It's not as great as it probably could have been, but it's still a very good title. It's very gorgeous, especially if you sit back and look at everything in the ultra settings. So it's definitely very impressive when it comes down to the graphics standpoint and the audio standpoint. But of course, there are some bugs that are still being worked on, and they're still continuing to really try to improve that stuff when it comes down to the main gist of it. And they talk about some of the concerns and some of the information brought attention to them to reassure you guys as the consumers that there is hope still left in Battlefield 4. So of course, many of you guys are probably wondering about some of the things that are currently on the top of their mind when it comes down to fine-tuning the overall title. And many of you guys are aware of the netcode. The netcode has been something that everybody seems to be all up in arms about, and they have also come out and said that they are working on a major update to the Battlefield 4 netcode. Many of you guys know that the CTE, or the community test environment, has been very successful since launch, and they're planning to expand the community test environment so that more players can get in, as well as collecting more feedback and overall make the experience for the CTE or the vanilla version of the game in many cases a lot more smooth and a lot better when it comes down to the main gist of it. Now, of course, if you guys haven't been all up to date on some of the features that DICE has implemented into Battlefield 4, I'll quickly cover some of the stuff that might pique some interest to you guys, especially if you're on the console side of things or even on the PC side of things. So they've recently rolled out such things as the squad join, the rent-a-server program, loadout presets, which is pretty cool, especially if you're somebody that likes to change between a lot of weapons. You can definitely have quite a bit of presets if you are a premium holder, and I did cover this in an earlier video, so definitely you'll have to go back a couple of videos, but I did cover it all in greater detail, or you can just go to Battlelog by itself and look up all the information that I'll have linked in the description as well. But overall, that's all the information when it comes down to some of the features that they've improved, as well as some of the advancements that they're currently making to improve Battlefield 4. Now, of course, I'd like to reassure you guys that Battlefield 4 is going to continually still get worked on by DICE. This is still DICE's current Battlefield game, and this is definitely something that they've held very close to their heart. I know a lot of us would like to, maybe not think that, of course, but it's still an advancement from the initial launch, and I think there's still a lot good to come when it comes down to the main gist of it. So of course, guys, that's pretty much all the information when it comes down to this week. There really wasn't a whole lot when it came down to server side updates or anything pertaining to Battlelog, but when it comes down to it, I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you guys found some information useful, and of course I'll have all the links in the description so you guys can read everything I covered in this video to give you guys a higher educated amount of information when it comes down to it. And until the next episode, guys, I will see you then, and this is NMO, and I'm going to be signing out. Peace.